It is Tuesday, the 19th of May, 2020, and it is my weekly opportunity to thank each and every one of you for watching and for listening. And we're going to have a change of format here on the Tobisonics YouTube channel. We're going to move to just one program a week on Tuesdays. In today's show, we have got first impressions of Spitfire Audio LABS, which is a 3 virtual instruments, and we're going to be having a production breakdown of a brand new remix that I've been working on this very week. I've just finished the production for it. It's called Higher. We're going to be looking at the kick and the bass. So let's get on with it. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a new remix that I've been working on this week. The production is done. It has just been sent off to the mix engineer. So we're going to take a look at the raw production, and we're going to be having a look at the kick and bass and how those two things are interacting with each other. So we got ourselves 2 different basses. We got a kind of drone and then more of a kind of stabby bass. Okay, let's start by having a listen to this droney bass. We've got it in 3 different layers: low, mid, and high. So we're going to listen to the mid part of the bass, which forms the bulk of the bass sound. And then as we go through it, I'm going to blend in the low and the high so you can hear how it builds the bass sound up. Let's bring in that low. Let's give it a little bit more weight, a little bit more movement in the subs. Now the high. And you can hear that's very different. It's almost like a separate instrument. So we've got a touch of compression going on in the low bassline drone, and it's actually sidechained to the mid just to tighten things up. It's taking about 4 dB out. You can see there with the gain reduction. Very, very soft ratio. So it's very transparent. Long hold on it. Pretty quick attack time. If we compare that to the compression we have on the high bass, so we've got a little bit more attack, and the hold is shorter, it reflects that. And you can see by the gain reduction that's there, we're taking about half as much out in gain reduction on the high. And then on the high bass, we have something extra. We have a little bit of PSP Hertz rider. So let's just take that off and have a quick listen to the bass without the PSP Hertz rider. Let's drop it in. It's just moving the top of that bass around a little bit. It's going to help it sit up in the mix. It's giving it a little bit of kind of grungy groove. So now let's have a quick listen to the kick. Like the bass, the kick is stacked low, mid, and high. Let's have a listen to it with just the mid, which is providing the body of the sound, and then I'll blend in the low and the high so you can hear what it's doing for it. So let's blend in that low. Just giving it a little bit more weight, a little bit more push. Let's bring the top in. A little bit more width, a little brighter, sitting it up in the mix a little bit more. So you see that during the course of the production, the kick and the bass kind of alternate layers a little bit. So what we have going on here in the chorus is we have all 3 of the kick layers going, but only the mid of the bass, which sounds like this. So the kick is getting the sub, it's getting the weight, it's nice and tall in the mix, it's really punching into the mix, it's really grounding in for that chorus. Now if we move to the bridge, bass gets the sub. To help you guys hear that, let's come in and do a quick loop moving from the chorus where the kick has the sub to the bridge where the bass has it. You hear that change of emphasis. All of a sudden in the bridge, the kick kind of lifts up a little bit and the bass beds in. You come back into the chorus, the kick beds in, and the bass kind of thins out a little bit and gives it some room. Now, you could do those things at the mixing stage, and often you have to because you want the bass to have some sub and you want the kick to have some sub. But I like this here in this production, and I like the idea of dealing with these problems inherently in how the production is created. So it's actually being used as a creative musical device rather than the mix engineer just trying to solve a problem. So that was a quick look at some of the stuff I've been working on this week. I hope you found it interesting. I hope it gave you some ideas for your own productions. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And stay tuned, because coming up next, first impressions of Spitfire Audio's Labs, which is a free virtual instrument. So the good people at Spitfire Audio do a free instrument called Labs. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a bunch of Cubase loops, nothing special, Cubase MIDI loops. We're going to use the Cubase stock instruments. Let's start by having a listen to those Cubase loops. Oh yeah. So what we've done is we've taken all those MIDI loops and we've dropped them onto the Labs. The Labs are still set as their default soft piano setting. Actually doesn't sound too bad. That's a very nice piano. So what we're going to do is go through it instrument by instrument and see if we can use the Labs instruments to put something together. Let's start with the drums and see what we can do with them. At the moment, we're playing through a soft piano, so the drums sound a little bit like this. Which would be perfect if we were making a Billy Fraykin movie about drug trafficking between France and New York and starring Gene Hackman. But we're not doing that, so we better find some drums. In order to do that, you just click the drop-down arrow, you click on drums, highlight the track you want. I think you can just double-click. Now let's see how we're going to fare with drum maps. Oh yeah, I would have to go and move the MIDI around a little bit, I think. Okay, so we have what's called a break kit, which I think we'll take to be percussion. We've got sleigh bells. Is that going to work? Not really. Got some tune percussions, got some handbells. That's kind of cool. Next up, electric piano. So let's go over a chorus electric piano. Let's see. All right, let's go with that. Next up, we've got ourselves a music guitar. Let's see about electric. We've got Peel guitar. It's kind of cool. I think we'll go with trams. Yeah, let's go with trams. Right, next we've got some string instruments. Got frozen strings and scary strings, string trio, and amplified cello quartet, and whatever that says. Let's start with frozen strings then. What have we got here? We've got... No, tell you what, let's go with that. Let's go with an ensemble. What do we got here? Oh, swells. Let's try that. That's kind of fun. Next up, we have ourselves synth. We do have some synths. We have a granular piano, modular piano stuff. We also have some synth pads, pedal pads. So let's go off. Well, let's kick it off with a granular piano. Why not? Well, that's just lovely. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. Well, that's just lovely. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth, which sounds like this at the moment. So next up, we got ourselves another synth Pretty funky like that, actually. That is hard to beat. We'll see what we can find. We do have some synth stuff going on. We've got some pads. Let's have a listen. A little bit of this. Quite cool. Let's keep going down the pads a bit. I like that one. Pad number 2. Now we've got to find ourselves a bass. Let's see if we can find something else that sounds like it might work. Sub bass. Hey. Oh yeah, sub bass. That's got some tone to it. So we started with Cubase loops, Cubase stock. Then we dropped the labs on it and got this. Final thoughts. Really surprised by how well that worked, considering I hadn't listened to any of the tracks together. It's very simple interface, very intuitive. I do like it when you start to get some options over here. That was really useful. The variation option in particular, very smooth. There's some very, very cool flavors in here. The load up interface is perhaps a touch clunky. You've got to really double click it, or you can load it here. It does work though. I like this little start option as well, so you can put your favorites up in a separate category. That's a cool thing to do. It seems to me to be very much a kind of flavor plugin. What you've got here are some really nice textures. Conclusion, go out and get it. Just go to the Spitfire Audio website, register, download all the instruments, and start playing around with it, because it's great, it's free, it's really easy to use. Top marks across the board. That's Tobisonics Tuesday. That's the Spitfire Audio Labs free virtual instrument. Good night and good noise. Stay safe and stay healthy.